How dust affect on our organism? It depends on a lot of the factors which mentioned in the previous video, but very important factor is dispersity, size of the particles, and behavior of these sizes described by Gibbs-Stokes laws. These laws you have in the book in topic 12. They described what does it mean. I'm just explaining you how it should be, how they behave, these particles, and what will be the effect on human organism. So we have large dispersible particles and air suspensions, very big particles, then medium dispersible particles and small dispersible particles. What happens with them in the environment? Gibbs-Stokes laws. If we have big particles, heavy, the gravity force effect on them is bigger than air resistant, so they precipitating. Then medium dispersible, the gravity force and air resistance in equivalence, so they flying in the air, accumulating the precipitation and sedimentation possibility less. And low dispersible. In low dispersible, resistance of the air, influence on the air resistance on them, much bigger than the gravity force. That's why they movement by Brownian movement. But because of the acceleration and adhesion of particles one to one, or moisture absorption, they could become bigger, and then gravity force became in equivalence with their resistance, and they will behave themselves like medium dispersible particles. And the main, how these particles affect the human organism, also depends on dispersity. Large dispersible particles, they are very big, they can't penetrate too deep in our body, but they could precipitate on skin, adhesion on the skin, and cause allergy, irritation, inflammation. They could precipitate on the mucus of the eyes, causing again allergies, irritation in form of conjunctivitis, for example. Then we could inhale them, but they will stop in the nose because they're too big, and they will cause irritation, rhinitis, sneezing, and if they will be in mouth, coughing. So they will be evacuated from the upper respiratory tract. Next, medium dispersible. Medium dispersible, smaller, they penetrated deeper, up to bronchs. In bronchs, they adhere to the walls of the bronchs, causing inflammation, chronic inflammation, secretion of the mucus, and main chronic bronchitis. And small dispersible, the smallest one, they could be penetrated up to lungs. They very small. They penetrated to lungs, then they precipitate in the alveolus, adhering to the alveolar walls, causing irritation, sedimentation and alveolar irritation. This irritation induces growing of the fibrous tissue around the lungs and development of disease called pneumoconiosis or black lung disease. Pneumoconiosis, it's mostly professional disease, the same as chronic bronchitis, caused by different types of the coal, silicon, and other dust. And problem in case of pneumoconiosis, fibrous tissue fix the lung. If healthy lung increase and decrease its volume when we breathe in, when we inhale the air, its size became bigger. The fibrous lungs, they fixed, so they can do their function. And the main problems with pneumoconiosis, it's irreversible, so we could only stop or slow down the process for the patient, but we can't make it to be reversible, so it always be on those stage when we start our treatment. Pneumoconiosis as professional disease, its pathogenesis, its development of fibrous tissue. Main symptoms, it's problems with breathing, hypoxia, and could be added problems with cardiovascular system. And the main in the treatment, it stop the contact with the dust. stop the contact with the dust and compensate insufficiency of respiration by lost